I'm just gonna be like this. I'm used to being short. Hello. Hello. Welcome to this very unorthodox vlog. I took out my contact lens, so my eye looks weird. That's what happens when you wear contact lenses. Hi. I will take the mic away from my mouth because I don't want it to sound like I'm eating chicken. And today we're gonna go over the books that I read in November and December. Ignore the creaking. So, the first book. This is, ignore the shut up chair. This is The House of Tongues by James Dashner. This is an adult horror novel. Now, some of you might know the name James Dashner. He was the author that penned the dystopian novel series, actually, The Maze Runner. This is his first horror novel and his first foray into adult horror. This book is about David Planer, or Player, I think his name is Player, and David got played by a serial killer when he was 16 years old. Yes, this serial killer decided to make David's life a living hell and antagonize him when he was 16. Now, when we meet David in the book, he's actually 40 years old, so this serial killer did not kill him. She just decided to make his life unbearable for a few months. And then, when David decides to go to his parents' house, along with his 4 kids, of which Hazel is my favorite, the son of the serial killer shows up at David's parents' house and proceeds to choke on his own tongue. David's son, Wesley, who is his eldest, decides to help this guy out, sure, okay, be a good Samaritan, good boy, and saves the guy's life, and all of the chaos is over. The ambulance comes and picks this guy up and takes him away, and then they proceed to have dinner. And later on in the night, David wakes up in the middle of the forest outside the house, miles away from the house. Wakes up in the middle of the forest. Holy crap. Okay. Did he walk out there by himself? No, because he realizes that the door is locked from the inside, not the outside. And Hazel, I love her so much, opens the door for him, and to his shock and horror, then realizes that his son Wesley is missing. That is this book. And we go back in time. It's split between back in 1989, the best year of everything, because 1989 is the best year, of course, for obvious reasons. And it's split between 1989 and present day. Well, present day back then was 2017, but this was released in 2021, by the way, so back when this was present day. In the book is 2017, and they're searching for his son. Back in 1989, you're finding out how this serial killer got into he got into the eyesight of the serial killer. Is this book good? I liked it. The gore was there. It gave me a little bit of anxiety when this serial killer is trying to torment a 16-year-old boy. But the ending kind of let me down, and that knocked points off. It would have been a 4.5, but it did knock points off. It would have been a 4.5 because I was genuinely thinking that the townspeople would turn on David when he was 16. But they were very understanding. A serial killer taunting a 16-year-old boy, saying that he's responsible for all the murders. Who would believe the serial killer? Huh? Other people who write about serial killers taunting children, and somehow the adults think the children are responsible? Anyway, I gave us a 4-star. First, he brought you Clowns versus Spiders. Then, he brought you the Haunted Forest Tour. After, he tantalized you with the short stories of Everything Has Teeth. Now, Jeff Strand is back with a unique take on a home invasion story with dun 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 Sick House. Yeah, I read Sick House by Jeff Strand. It was okay. I mean, it wasn't the heights of Clown versus Spiders, which was just hilarious. And it was not the adventure that was the Haunted Forest Tour. But it was a good ride from start to finish. So the Sick House, is about a family whose father, whose name escapes my head, he gets a promotion at work, and this promotion then brings him in contact with a house, because his family has to move to a different city for his promotion, and they looked for a house, and they came across this house, and this house is crazy, and weird shit starts happening in this house. And after the pet tarantula dies, they decide, okay, yeah, something's up with this house. And it turns out there is something wrong with this house. And this house is trying to kill them. Yeah. I mean, there's a scene where fish in a koi pond. Duke's not listening. Okay, baby boy. Okay, don't listen. Fish in a koi pond have their skin melt off. I have to whisper because Duke, my fish. Oh, he's sleeping. Yeah, their skin melts off. Like sloughs off. And it's disgusting. But, yeah, he's sleeping. It was fine. It was a good plot. I mean, a police officer runs through the house and gets melted like straight up melted. It was madness. It was Jeff Strand madness, but it was madness. And I don't remember what I rated it. It was a good book. It was a good book. Now, let's get on to December, shall we? Okay, and I'm back. Welcome to the next day. I was very tired last night. I needed to go to bed. I needed to sleep. Um, I don't know if you could tell, but I was very tired. Um, anyway, continuing on with my reading wrap up. The next books that I read were for the Havocathon, which was a holiday Havocathon. It was a readathon that was created and planned and hosted by Tangible Reads and a few other booktubers. And I took part in it for Instagram. Although, because it was so busy during the holiday, family came round rather early. I didn't, and like I had like work to finish before the holiday came. Family came around. I didn't get to do any of the prompts. Like I watched a movie and I read the books that I was supposed to read. I didn't get to any of my additional reading, which sad for me. I really wanted to read some of those books, but there's always next year. And if I'm ever in like a romancy Christmas mood during the year, I'll dip into those reads. There is a book that I really wanted to read. Everybody read that book. But I didn't get to read it, which is really sad. I really wanted to read that book. Anyway, so what were the books that I got to read for the Havocathon? The first book I read, which isn't here right now, give me a second. I had to go get it. So the book that I read for science fiction fantasy was Hogfather by Terry Pratchett. This is a book all about death filling in for the Hogfather, who is basically Santa Claus or Father Christmas, if you're from the UK, who goes missing. And in order to have a good Hogwatch, because if the Hogfather doesn't deliver presents on Hogwatch, and belief isn't at a certain like height when Hogwatch day comes, the sun won't set apparently. But this book is all about death and his granddaughter. His granddaughter is investigating what happened to the Hogfather, and Death is trying to make sure that belief in the Hogfather is at an all-time high. It was a really fun read. I loved a lot of the characters in this book, particularly Rid Cuddy, who is a professor. I think he's the dean of the Unseen University, which is the university in the Discworld series. And he would just drop dad jokes on you and then just walk off. Half the time I think he's doing it on purpose, but he does it with such a straight face that you don't know. You're like reading a line and he'll drop like a dad joke on you, and you'll continue reading it and you wait, hang on. What did you say, Ricky? So I liked it. This is the fourth book, I think, in the Death series for Discworld, and I think this is the 20th Discworld series overall. So 4th in the Death series and 20th in Discworld overall. Yeah, I've been wanting to read the Discworld for such a long time now, and I'm glad that I got to read Hogfather. It means I have an excuse now to get into the world of Terry Pratchett. There were some like philosoph like it's Terry Pratchett. It's the Discworld is not only known for its fantasy, but it's also known for being kind of satire and kind of talking about aspects of human life that we don't really like talk about normally, or if we talk about it, people say like, nah, or you're just bringing up stuff. But in this, the concept is of belief and whether or not belief actually makes the world go round, or if believing in something makes it happen. So is it because you believe in that one thing that it happens? Or is it because that one thing happens that you believe? So it's a very interesting concept to do. And it takes both sides of the aisle. So at some point in the book, people just start believing in things and things just start appearing. And on the other side, people things just happen and people start believing in it, such as with the oh god of hangovers. So there's a god of drinking, which of course, but then there's the oh god of hangovers, who is the god of basically, you wake up in the morning and you feel ill um, after having a binge. But no one really has, like, that's just something that appeared because of another god. It's not something that we made up ourselves. So there's that whole duality thing of it. And I really liked it. I think this is something that I'm going to try and reread during the holidays, or at least watch the Sky One miniseries, because Sky One in the UK had a miniseries of this book, and it was great. It was great. I loved it. I think I watched it like once, but because I read this, I can have something to compare it to now. I'm gonna watch it, look it up and watch it. Next was BIPOC author. I made a mistake with this one. I thought somebody was BIPOC and they weren't. So I read that book anyway and I was finished with it. So I just moved it on to another category. Um, the one that I actually read though is by Bella J. It is called Mistletoe Blues by Bella J. I apparently gave that a 3 star. It was okay to me. It's a short story. It's all about two co-workers getting to know each other and having fun on Christmas Eve, like Christmas night, doing like a scavenger hunt together. And it all starts with the main female character, Joanna, her sister, daring her to go and like sit on the lap of the mall Santa because they were interested in each other. She doesn't even know like what he looks like. Every time he sees her, he is in the Santa Claus costume. But that one day, her sister dares her to go and sit in his lap and whisper stuff to him. And then that night, her sisters were supposed to meet her at this bar that turns out to be the bar of the Santa Claus. Like, I think his family owns the bar, and they start talking and they decide to do a scavenger hunt and they get to know each other. It started out fine. It was not that long, a long book, but it started out fine. I thought it was cute that they were like flirting with each other and stuff, and I thought it was okay. Started out fine. And then things took like a weird turn. Like it wasn't weird like they were getting on, they were talking and stuff, and then all of a sudden they end up in yeah, they were yeah, this is legitimately what happened. They were talking, they were getting to know each other, they were doing the scavenger hunt, and all of a sudden she says she wants to go and see his bedroom, and then it's got spice in it at the end. And then it just kind of ends abruptly the day after. So yeah, it was something. What was interesting about this book though was that it came with a playlist. So I was listening to the playlist while I was reading this, and the tone really like immersed you in the book. I just thought that it kind of didn't need that spice in it. I feel like it was alluding to them being like that, but considering the fact that they hadn't talked before, they had talked before, they were flirting at the office, um, and then she did not know what he looked like until literally that night, and they got to know each other a little bit. Did decides to do the scavenger hunt, and then yeah, all of a sudden they were in the bedroom. So it was okay. I gave it a 3 star. I feel like it really. And then afterwards, she was like worried about the fact that she had a kid and she thought he wouldn't like that. It was fine. It was okay. It was Christmassy. I liked the playlist. I actually saved the. Oh, I actually saved the playlist. Okay, so next was Queer Rep. I read This Christmas by Alice Osman, which is a novella in the Solitaire series, which is set in the Heartstoppers universe. Um, and this is all about Charlie. Something happens in Heartstoppers. This follows on from that, so it literally like is after Heartstoppers. So if you haven't read that, I'm not gonna say much. But something happens in Heartstoppers, and he is dealing with the aftermath of that. His parents are trying to like pretend nothing is wrong. They just want to have a normal Christmas, but Charlie is having to deal with extended family coming to the house, and they know what's happened. So it's kind of built up over the course of the night until he storms out and goes to see his boyfriend Nick and spends Christmas with Nick. I thought it was cute when he went to see Nick and his Nick's family just like accepts him, apart from his brother. His brother was being a douche, but his Nick's family accepts him fully, and they're getting to know him, and he's sitting with with Nick's cousins and stuff. And I thought that bit was cute. I also thought that Terry, Charlie's sister, was a great character. She's trying to understand her brother. She's understands that what's happening with him is not about her, it's about him. And I love that she was just trying her best to support him when family was around, and it was just really heartwarming. Especially their little brother who doesn't understand what's happening, but all he wants is to just play video games with his brother and sister. I thought it was cute. Um, I gave it a 4. Did I give it a 4? I gave it a. Oh, I didn't rate it. I'd give it a 4 because I thought it was cute. It was a nice little story. It was literally just family mess, that one. that was it. Okay, now for thriller. So I originally read Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney for BIPOC. I thought the author was a BIPOC author, but she isn't, so I shifted it over to thriller, because it is a thriller. It's a domestic thriller. And it is all about this husband and wife who go to Scotland to on their anniversary in order to rekindle their romance, because their marriage has gone wayside. It's gone wrong. There's tons of drama going on in their marriage. I guess the twist. I was right about the twist, but it's not what I thought it was. Okay? So, tell you a little bit about these two. We've got Amelia. Amelia, who just wants her husband to be happy and to pay attention to her. Okay? And we have Adam. Adam loves his wife, but she... Then we have Adam. Adam loves his wife, but he's sick of his wife. Okay? And it's all because Amelia is constantly on at him about everything. He legitimately cannot do anything without her bitching about it, which instantly makes Amelia unlikable. So they take this romantic vacation, and it's Scotland. They get there in a blizzard. She won this in like a raffle at work. They go off, there's a blizzard, their car breaks down. They are in this chapel, this like really gothic medieval chapel, and I would love to be there. Like, it's the setting I'd like to like light the fire and sit there with a good book. That's the kind of setting that they're in. Poor Adam, he's trying his best to make this the best of a bad situation, okay? But my dude decides enough is enough. Something has to be done about his wife. And as we read them doing their thing, we are interspliced with letters from his wife in the past. And every anniversary, you learn a little bit more about their relationship, because she is writing letters to Adam for them to read, like when they're old. And it basically tells, this is what we did in our first anniversary, this is what we did on our second anniversary, this is what happened on our third anniversary, and it's interspliced at that. Then you have a third person. This person is skulking around the chapel, trying their best to either scare or just ruin their anniversary. And then the ending. Oh, wow, the ending. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you the ending. You need to go read it. The ending, I knew what they were going to say, but it's not what I thought they were going to say, if you know what I mean. They kept mentioning his face blindness, because I was like reading, going, all right, it's obvious that his face blindness is going to play a part of this. How though? How can you do this, be with this person, and, how does that work out? How? Why? How could you not? But it was good. 5-star book, love it. Next is The Holiday Trap by Rian Parrish. This is a romance in which two people swap their lives. We have Greta. She comes from a small island in New Hampshire called Owl Island, and she's the only lesbian in this small community. And and it's a community where everybody knows your business. Like everyone, you walk around, something happens one day, and within 24 hours, the whole island knows. She is having issues with her family. Her family are very much, we want you to be around all the time. Her family is very close knit, but they don't, at least some of her family members, don't understand that she needs to branch out and people who she will enjoy being around. Her sister is awful. Her sister is always making like stereotype homophobic jokes at her and literally is just toxic. And we've got the second character, who is Truman, who is in a relationship with a guy named Guy, and he goes to give his boyfriend of a year his Christmas gift, shows up at his door, only to look through the window and find out that Guy has a secret family that he never told him about. So instead of confronting Guy about this secret family, he decides to skip town. And Greta and Truman have a mutual friend named, I think her name is Ramona. Her name is Ramona. And she goes, you guys need a break from your lives. How about, Truman, you go and chill. You guys need a vacation, okay? It's the holidays. You need a vacation away from your life, okay? But Truman has a dog named Horse that needs taken care of, and Greta has like these exotic plants that she needs taken care of. So they decide to swap places. Truman goes to Greta's and Greta goes to Truman. Truman lives in New Orleans and Greta lives on the island. So they switch places. Now, this book was very cute and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed reading this. I found that Truman's story was very much a slow burn. Him and Ash were very much a slow burn. So Truman's side of the story, he goes to Owl Island. He is obsessed with this book series called, what is it called? What is it called? It's a fictional book series. He's obsessed with this fictional book series. So when he finds out that the author of his favorite book series actually lived in Greta's house and has connections to Owl Island, he is gassed. He is happy as can be, right? So he spends most of his time trying to figure out more about Agatha Turk, I think her name is, the author. And while he's there trying to figure out more about this author, he meets Ash. And Ash is Ash. He is the owner of the local flower shop called Thorn. And his business is failing, and there's this landlord, this property developer that wants to buy up his store and make it into like a condo for like tourists and stuff. And Truman sees this and he goes, you know what? I'm gonna help you. And Truman is obsessed with bullet journaling, and it's so cute. I love it. You even get a bullet, like an example of Truman's bullet journal at the end of the story. Uh, Let me see if I can find it. You get a spread, a bullet journal spread at the end. Ah, it's so cute, so cute. But yeah, and from there, Ash is very much the stoic guy who is gay, but doesn't really know how to express himself. And he is on that island. He moved away and then came back because his mother has early onset dementia and he needs to be there for his mother. And he's like struggling with the store. So he has so much on his shoulders. And Truman and his bullet journals just comes to the rescue. It's just I love it. I love it so much. I love this story. Greta, on the other hand, okay, not on the other hand, I enjoyed her story very much too. It's just that Greta is very much, and her romance with Karis is very much pedal to the metal. Like, boom. Okay. It took 3 weeks. They were on the island for 3 weeks. Okay, so about a month. And this swap happened, and it took the full month for Truman and Ash to even get to a place where they were actually able to say that they're interested in each other. But Karis and Greta were on it from the beginning. Okay, so with Greta's story, Greta is with this family, her family, very much the tight knit family, very much the mother who wants her kids to be around her 24/7. I can relate. But Greta wants more. She wants to live her own life, and she cannot do that in a place where it's basically like you live in a place your whole life and you just get sick of that place. You get sick of seeing the same people every day and you just want to leave. You just want to go somewhere else. Yeah, so she goes to New Orleans. It's even worse because, like, while her mom and dad, they are trying, bless them, they are trying with her, okay? They are trying to understand, trying to be supportive of her. It's just that her mom wants her to be by her side. She's got 5 girls. She wants all the girls at her. She wants that family nearby. Can't fault mama for that. Can't fault her for that. However, it's stifling. It is stifling, okay? And Sadie, Greta's older sister, very much homophobic. Like, I don't even think that she is homophobic. I just think because she is her sister, she can get away with saying these mean homophobic things to her sister. Okay. She doesn't really treat Ash that way. Because Ash is also gay. She does talk to Ash. She treats him with a modicum of respect, but with Greta, she is all in on the homophobic jokes, all in on the stereotypes, all in on the homophobic like jokes and all of that. And granted, the family do call her out. The family calls her out when she does it, but it's more of a Sadie, stop it, stop. You're being ridiculous. Stop it. Don't stop. You're being rude. No, get the fuck in my house. No. But because of this close-knit family thing, Greta feels that she is suffocating. She feels like she's betraying her family. She's feels like they don't have her back when Sadie is treating her all sorts of way. And because she has two other younger sisters, and these younger sisters, she understands from how she looks at Sadie that how she lives her life impacts how her sisters see how life is supposed to be. Greta often goes with everything. It's just easier that way. But then she has two younger sisters, and these younger sisters, especially Maggie, is looking towards Greta as, okay, if my sister can do this, I can do this too. And Tilly is very much looking at and going, well, don't rock the boat. And when she goes to New Orleans, she meets Karis, and Karis is very much a person who grew up in an environment where her mother was a narcissist, and Karis has to live her life in a certain way, questioning everything, not wanting to get close to anyone, because her mother would use the information that Karis gives to her, even if it's something small, to beat her down and break her down, right? That's the kind of relationship Karis had with her mum. So when Greta meets Karis fully understands these the need for boundaries, and Greta really wants boundaries with her family, and Karis is there to help her develop those boundaries. And they are hot and heavy from the very beginning. They are hot and heavy from the very beginning. I loved this book. It was so cute. Oh, you need to read this. You need to read this. It's so cute. I love the slow burn with Ash and Truman, but I like that it's kind of evened out with Karis and Greta being so hot and heavy. It also makes me want to go to New Orleans. It makes me want to go to New Orleans, though. There is so much representation in this book I loved. I just loved it. I loved it. I gave this a 5-star. Give it a 5-star. I love it. Also, I did say I watched a movie. I watched which is a Christmas anthology film, horror anthology film. I watched about half of it, just a little bit over halfway, and then and then family started being family, so I had to stop watching it. I did finish it. It's a great anthology. It's literally about two people, two co-workers who were um two co-workers who were alone on Christmas Eve and decide to get together and go see a theater production. And this theater production is super weird, and it's kind of like an improv thing, but the people are like quiet, and their improv is spinning out these stories for the audience. Okay, so that's it. And it's horror, and all of these like horror stuff happens, all these horror situations happen. And then my mom wanted to watch Wednesday, so we shut that off and watched Wednesday from the beginning, because I had already watched the season, and I wish I had video of my mom watching Wednesday. My mom lives for Wednesday Addams. She loves Tim Burton. Man, you can take man, you can take the horror away from the woman, but you can't take the woman out of horror. You can take horror out of the woman, but you can't take woman out of horror. No, you can take the woman out of horror, but you can't take horror out of the woman. Like, I think that's how the saying goes. Did I get that right? Okay, normally I have no way to close these out, but I am learning Swedish, so I need to practice my Swedish closings. So, with that being said, hoppas du har en bra dag. Tack så mycket For att du tittade. Hej då. Natti natti.